I'm Patrick Bailey with iQlist.com. Today is February 11th, 2019. In this video, I'll be going over the puzzling print that I designed and maybe showing you a few techniques on how to make your own if you want to. So let me go over my design real quick and just kind of give you a gist of what's going on. So this happens to be thing 3388622 on Thingiverse, and I'll put a link in the show notes. And the whole idea was I thought it'd be interesting to, I think it's really interesting to make prints that, you know, the people who don't 3D print kind of go, how'd you do that? And get them interested. So I have a homeschooling conference coming up here in June, and I have a bunch of examples. And I want to print out some stuff that make people a little intrigued, and not to mention it makes a good little fidget spinner because I do fidget myself a bit. And the basic idea is, you know, print a thread out and then print a nut to go on it. And then as you get print it part way, stop it, and then put the nut on and let it finish its print. And then in such a way that it expands out. So there's no way to get this off after the print is done. So the only way to do this is via stopping your 3D printer and putting it on. So that's the gist of it. And now let me show you a video here that shows me doing the procedure, stopping it, and getting the nut on. Okay, so I'm at the point now where I want to put the gear on. So to stop this beeping, I'll just hit this, which will shoot the white out, even though I really want the white back. Now at this point, I'm using a Deburring Tool, which I suggest to kind of help it get out. So I'll deburr it on one side, oops, and deburr it on the other side. And then I will carefully, without moving the board, there we go. Oh, don't get too overzealous, I guess, huh? Done this several times, and so far I haven't moved anything. It's all worked pretty well. Okay, should be good. And then let me cut this, reload it, and hopefully it should start again, and it'll make the piece I want. Okay, we're good, hit yes, grab that, and there we go. It should finish the rest. Okay, now hopefully I pointed out in that video, there's one thing you shouldn't do. One thing that I think I did wrong, and I'm doing an experiment right now to prove it, is although it may be a good idea to grease it after the fact, don't grease it before the fact, because I have had several of these break, and they break I found out most of them seem to break where I stopped it. So I would put the grease on the bolt. So I would put the grease on the bolt, put a little bit too much, put it down there, and as a result of doing that, I actually left a little bit of grease on the rim, or so I believe. And because that grease was there, as I tried to print, it couldn't print on it correctly, and so it kind of didn't make a good connection, and it made it vulnerable to snap. Also with that, I think it might be a good idea. I didn't print these. I print these like 10% infill or 20% infill. It might be a good idea to go to 50 or 70% infill to make it stronger. Anyway, don't put the grease on. Put the grease on. I think it's a good idea to grease them up, but do it after they've been printed and put together. But with that, let me go over the numbers. So it took me 1 hour and 15 minutes to print the gear. It took 2 hours and 28 minutes to print the bolt, for a total time of 3 hours and 43 minutes to print this whole thing. It took 0.011 cents of electricity for the gear, and it took 0.022 cents worth of electricity for the bolt, for a total cost of 0.033 cents for electricity, and the whole thing together weighs 0.03 kilograms, and at $20 per kilogram, that comes out to 60 cents worth of material. So altogether, this costs 64 cents to print. So not much at all, and it's a lot of fun. So with that, there's the details of it. So now let me, for those of you who may be interested, I'm going to go into Fusion 360 and kind of give you a little run-by-run on how I did it. Okay, so here I am in Fusion 360. I'll just right-click on here and create a new component, and I'll start off with the bolt. Getting it close. Come on, bolt. I'll name it bolt there. I'll come down here, click on origin so I can see things. I'll right-click on here and say create a sketch. And I'll come down here, hit the S key, and I've already got some of my shortcuts set up. So I'll choose the center diameter circle. Start there in the center. And this happens to be, I'll type in 10, come on, 10, there we go, 10 millimeter circle. That's my bolt. That's the bolt part here. And then, I don't know, I'll just make it some random size. I'll come down here and choose the circumscribed polygon. Circumscribe. Just come out here and I'll just make it, make it 15. And then we'll come down here and click on this, press the Q, press pull tool, choose that center section, and just pull it as far as you want. Here I'll just make it 50 millimeters in this case. And we've got that. Come back, turn sketches back on. And then I want to also put this up. And one thing I've noticed, well, on the bottom it's easy because you're going in. But I've also noticed that if you go to 40, on my Prusa i3 Mark III, I can go out at a 45-degree angle. And that's what I chose to do here. That's a pretty easy print to do it for me. So here I'll choose, not that. So I will turn the bodies off, choose both of those, press Q, and what are you doing? Got a little weird there. Okay, I'll choose that, press Q, and I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up just 7 millimeters in this case. And I'll go here, right click, and create a sketch on top of this. The only reason I'm doing that is because it kind of separates it from the bottom. So now I can do another press pull, but in this case I can do a taper angle -45. So now it goes in. Oh, no, don't want to do that. I want to mess myself up. I need to also choose the inner circle, otherwise we get that messed up angle on the inside. I want to choose them both. So now I have the whole space. Bring the bodies back. Press Q for the press pull tool, and I'll say join and -45. Boom. And there we go. There's the bottom. And then to do the top, I would just click on here, say create a sketch. There's ways I can offset it, but I'll just make another circumscribed polygon. Choose that. And I will say, I'll do a Q for press pull. Oh, let me choose that circle too. And we'll just go up, I think I went up 7 before, right? Go up 7. And then I will go down here, click on here and say, create a sketch. And I'll choose that. Let me turn the bodies off so I can choose that section more easily. Do Q for press pull, go this way, choose join, and -45. I'm going to need to pull a little more. There we go. Boom. There you go. Now all I need to do now is the thread. So I can bring up my tool, and now I'm in 3D mode. I can bring up my shortcuts, and one of the shortcuts I have is thread. If you don't have that, you can go search for thread. And they've done a really cool job here in Fusion 360. They have made everyone's life easy. So I choose thread, I choose this cylinder, and what it does is it gives me some options. It sees, hey, this is a 10 millimeter one. It goes and looks up some different options you have. But one thing we can do is click on modeled. If we click on modeled, now it's no longer an image. It actually is 3D modeled. And we'll see down here, it's choosing the thread it's going to do is M10 1.5. And that worked fine for me, so I chose that one. And you hit OK. And now we're basically done with this. The only thing I have done is I find this to be too tight. You might find it okay, but what I've done to make it a little looser, as I zoom in, choose that, choose the outer of the thread, press Q for the press pull tool, and I pull it in negative 0.2 millimeters. And that seems to give me enough give where I'm happy. And that's what I did with this design. And then that's it. That's done. And the next thing, we will hide this. I'll create the new component. And this will be the nut. And we'll select this. So now we're working on this component. Select the origin. Come on. Work with me. Okay. Right click on here, say create a sketch. Hit my S key, bring up my circle, and I'll do 10 millimeters. Because now I want to represent the inside. And then there's an interesting way to kind of get this little, this is not a gear, but to get this little gear-like feel on the outside. Because I just want something to grip. I can hit S, do that, go out, I don't know, 50. And then I can click on this, and I can say, I'll make it a construction line, because I don't really actually want it to be a line yet. And then I can come down here, hit S, and I will choose a 3-point arc. So I'll choose here randomly, and kind of choose there. So I got that little arc going on. And then I can hit escape, hit S key, and I can search for circular pattern. I already got mine queued up, but choose circular pattern, and then choose this guy, select the center point, and choose this, and you can start upping this, and you'll see it starts to, it'll make that pattern around that circle. And I want to get enough on there so that I nearly have enough divots. So in my case, what are we talking? Let's go for 20. Hit OK. And you have that part of it. Now the next part, I want to get the other arc, and luckily now it matches. You can fiddle with this and make it better, but I'll choose a 3-point arc again. That, and choose right there. You can fiddle with it. I'm not saying it's perfect. Hit escape, hit S, choose circular pattern again, choose this new guy, and then choose the center point. And now because it's attached perfectly right there, if I match the number of my other one, they'll match perfectly, and I'll make a solid. So I think I did 20, right? Yeah, I'll hit 20 again, hit OK. And now I've got that, which is a bit much, isn't it? That's a little bit finer than what I did. But anyway, you get the idea. You can fiddle with that and make it how you want. And then you see on here, I put some shapes in here, which, you can figure that out where you put another little circle. Well, let me just do it. I'll hit S, and I will make a circle here. Make another one. In this case, for what I did, I'll make let's see, circle, 2-point circle. Boom, 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 boom. And then now I've got that little arc there if I want it. That's what I did in my particular case. Another simple technique. And so then you could extrude that later if that's what you want. But I'm not going to do that in this one. So now let me just, I'll just choose everything. So I'll choose this, choose that, and choose that. Come on. And I got to choose those two. Boom. Come on. And then press the Q for the press pull tool and pull this up. Well, depends on what you do. I have mine tapered, so you could say, I'll say 5. 5 for the center part. Then I'll press on this and play and say, create sketch, only to separate it now, and then press the Q for the press pull tool again, go up, but this time taper angle. So do a negative, I want to say I did like what did I do? Negative 10? Didn't taper it much. Maybe more than that. Negative 3 and negative 20, that seemed to work. And I'll do the same. I'll do the same on the other side. Create sketch. Now, of course, you could mirror this, and that would work too. Q for the press pull. And we'll say 3 and negative 20. Boom. We almost have our gear, but now I need to use the threading tool to do the thread on the inside. So I'll bring up the thread tool, click on here, which is not very deep. Okay, this is a bad, this is a little bad design. I'll fix this after the fact though. So I'll do modeled M1.5. You want to make sure that those match 10 and 1.5, otherwise they're different threads. So hit OK, and this is not quite done well because there's not much thread there. So I will edit this feature and make this 10 millimeters. So I actually have a thread in there. There we go. Now I got some thread in there. And I want to do the same thing here. It's too tight, so I for me. So I'll select that, press Q, and go down -0.1, -0.2. Oh, a little too far. -0.2. Boom. And there you go. So those are the two designs that I did, and it's easy enough to go make your own to thread it in there. So anyway, so I hope that was. Hey, if it's fun, hey, go download it, print it out. It's a lot of fun to fiddle with. But if you want to make your own, hopefully I gave you enough tips in here and showed you a few things that you can go figure out how to make your own. At least the way I'm doing it. And if anyone does any really cool things, just send me a note, and maybe I'll go download your version on Thingiverse, see if I can print it. But I like showing things. I'm trying to get these homeschoolers into 3D printing, so I'm trying to get different things that draws their attention, catches their eye, and brings them in. And I think I'm liking this one. I think this is a good one. Anyway, hope this was helpful. Hey, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we were doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.